Hello, Springboarders again, and here we're back in for Springboard again, and this is not as you've probably heard me say this already. My favorite conference of the year is Springboard, and nothing more I enjoy is working with emerging brands and all the people we've met. And I want to thank Josh yesterday for speaking about lead generation, but this is something Lane must have had in his pocket about something that was going on with Monster Tree. So congratulations on the sale of Monster Tree. I know with Redbox Plus and Mighty Dog Roofing, you're not going anywhere out of franchising. So why don't you kind of give all of us a quick understanding of how Monster Tree started and how it's culminated in the sale of it.
Yeah, Brad, appreciate you having me back. And, my story is extremely inspirational for a lot of people. And I speak to a lot of emerging brands, and this is what this Springboard is really, built for. And I'll always remember that first Springboard I was at when I had no franchisees back in 2012, when I was first thinking about getting into franchising. It was one of the first Springboards. But my journey really started in my pre-teenage years. Had an entrepreneurial spirit and began mowing lawns in a local neighborhood where I grew up. Bartered with a neighbor that had a riding tractor and charged $25 for lawn cuts and gave him $5 for wear and tear on his tractor and kept 20 for myself until I built that up. And by the time I got into high school, I had dozens of lawns through the local neighborhood, north of 100 to be honest, and had some full-time employees. So I would actually go to school in the morning. I had an arrangement worked out with my teachers that I was able to go to school for the first 3-4 hours of the morning and then get back out in the field and work with the guys that I had working for me. Built that business through high school, graduated in about 2002 and quickly made some small acquisitions of local landscape companies, grew to over 400 full service accounts. And then that really pushed me to have to look for more efficient ways to apply a lot of the landscape products that we did around the residential and commercial properties, and led me into a commercial mulch blowing operation. Built that on a national level from Long Island, New York, down to Northern Virginia. And I'm based in Philadelphia, about an hour north of Philadelphia in Bucks County. And with that business, we would install landscape products through 4-inch hoses and blow them right into place for large properties. And people would subcontract the work to us. I also had contracts with companies like Target, Kohl's, Walmart, Wachovia Bank before they were bought out by Wells Fargo. And it was big business. And so in 2007, sold my landscaping company as I focused on the mulch blowing. And for the subsequent year following that, I had a lot of requests from existing clients for tree care services. And in June of 2008, as a favor for an existing client, I took down a $2,500 dead elm tree and financed it to them because they couldn't afford more than $500 a month. I used a contract crew to do that, which is somebody with their own insurance and workers' comp. And I rented the equipment for them to use and quickly grew that into a multi-million-dollar business, and obviously decided to franchise around 2012, and actually worked with someone who's heavily involved with Springboard, Steve Biegelman, and his team to help me early on to sort of establish operations manuals and relationships within the franchising industry. And they played an instrumental role for me in really getting going in franchising, and then successfully awarded the first franchise unit in late 2013. And it was off to the races. I successfully sold the business in the last week, and sold it to Authority Brands out of Columbia, Maryland, and have now reinvested into their platform as well, and still have an ownership interest there. And really excited. We had about 225 units at that time, and I can continue to focus on my other ventures and continue to build franchise organizations.
It's fascinating to me because, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, you see tree removal services after big storms. And then you see the same company doing it over and over and over again, especially on golf courses, as Lane will attest to. Nothing more than I like than a golf course. But when you see these storms come in, you see all these big, but it's usually 1 or 2 companies. So how did you decide to outsource or working with those type of tree companies to do their outside sales?
So that initial job I did in June of 2008 was done with an outsourced crew. After I'd sold the $20,000 worth of work up and down the street, I began hiring people and perform the work in-house. So all of the franchisees self-perform the work that they do sell. We attract some of the highest level talent in the industry because tree care is very fragmented. So we have a full recruiting department that helps our franchisees to find the employees. What they do is they help with placing job ads and sourcing and posting throughout different industry networks and advertising in industry magazines to get people in front of our franchisees so that they can interview the proper people. But for us, a big part of what really differentiated us in a very fragmented industry was our customer acquisition strategy. And I really thought outside the box in the way that we went after our clients. And then more importantly, I approached everything with very limited industry knowledge within tree care, because when I was in the landscaping business, everything was eye level down and tree care was eye level up. You just didn't mess with trees when you were in the landscaping business. So I was forced to really look at things as an outsider and leveraged very successful employees that I hired within the industry with decades of industry experience to suck the information out of them, but as well as, put good common sense forward and ideas with things that we could do to become much more efficient. I'll never forget in 2008 when I started the business, I was the first tree company to offer coupons through direct mail. And I was quickly tagged the coupon kid. And everyone told me I was wet behind the ears and I'd never make it in an industry that was, so rough. And, it was amazing to watch people in the industry over the years as I would attend industry events. They'd be like, I don't get it. How can you franchise a tree care business? Like, how can you do this? No one's done it before. And people just assume that if something hasn't been done yet, that everyone's done everything to date. But we see new franchise concepts come out every year where we scratch our head and go, why didn't I think of that? And, and rather than anyone saying, why didn't I think of that? They just all really shot it down. And that was unfortunately a lot of people within the industry. And we've proven them wrong. And the tides have shifted that over the last 3 to 4 years as we've reached scale and become one of the top 5 largest tree care companies in North America in under 12 years. It's more of, why didn't I think about that? And that was brilliant.
And what is shocking to me, until people realize that a lot of these millennials have no idea, but what the cost of removal of a tree is, or trimming of a tree. It's just mind-boggling, the price of it. So obviously there is a very profitable niche for it. And so now I usually joke around and said, okay, Greg, you're retired, right? But no, you've got 2 new concepts. Well, one's a concept that's been around, Redbox Plus, and now you've got a new roofing concept. You want to give us a little explanation about those?
Yeah, so Redbox Plus is a brand that was started by Jeff Matejka out of Winona, Minnesota, and again worked with Steve Biegelman when he launched that business. And Jeff's a worker, and he's not really interested in business development, and sold 4 franchise units, and quickly realized that franchising wasn't really his shtick or anything that he really took a strong liking to. So he and I were introduced in early 2018. And quickly realized that this is an amazing business opportunity with a patented product for the waste industry. We hold the patents to put porta potties on the front of construction dumpsters and service job sites across North America. I acquired a controlling interest in that business in June of 2018, and it's been off to the races since. Just really got in there, broke it down, put together all new systems, processes, hired a robust team of operations people. Believe it or not, I ran that business 100% separate from Monster Tree. Monster Tree was based in Philadelphia, Redbox Plus based in Minnesota, and the teams didn't cross lines at all. They were completely separate. So the focus was always there. Today we have over 225 franchise units, and I've had the pleasure of, building that business up with a great friend of mine that as well, and many in franchising know, Zach Butler, who's just an absolute bull in the franchise development space. And so
pretty good meat he subs out.
excellent beef from butlerbeef.com. If you haven't tried it, I would absolutely suggest you get it. We were just joking about it last night in Charlotte together. We were at a dinner meeting, and we were just joking. I said, I don't know what hormones or something, whatever you put in that beef, but it tastes damn good. He just says it's from the motherlands of Omaha. So, but Zach Butler and I had the opportunity to work closely together and grow that. And one of the things that Zach and I have really worked well together over the years, because I understand operational excellence and really focus on the operational side of the business and the business development, while Zach can really focus on bringing the new candidates through the door. And so we play our clear lines, in the businesses as we work together. And so while Zach doesn't have any ownership in Redbox Plus, I've been fortunate enough to acquire a roofing company out of Greenville, South Carolina, that we've rebranded under Mighty Dog Roofing, and begin offering franchises for sale in October of this year. And Zach has ownership in that business and will be running all of the development. And, we look forward to, partnering together on many other deals into the future with emerging brands and growing them to scale. With the level of interest of people that have reached out in inquiring about Mighty Dog Roofing, we expect that it'll probably take us about 12 to 15 months to award the first 100 units. So it's not going to take long at all.
And it's interesting is that you take businesses that a lot of us take for granted. They're dirty businesses, or if you look at something like Redbox Plus, it's a smelly business, but you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves. And I remember Lane introducing me, like you said, one of our earliest our earliest springboards, and none. But with that, what are some of if to all these nice big, and I want to say big, let's call them big ideas that people have in emerging brands, what would be a couple nuggets that you could pass along to them?
Well, as it pertains to attending your events like Springboard and the other events that you guys put on, one of the things that's been instrumental to me is that I felt that everyone in the franchising community, at least in the circle that we run with, is willing to share information and willing to help in any way that they can and mentor people. There's several people amongst the franchising industry that have been instrumental in me achieving success as well, with things that I was able to bounce off of them. But the biggest thing I would tell people coming to your events is, regardless if you have one franchise unit, no franchise units, or 100, is just walk in there and talk to everybody. Just talk to as many people as you can, and share your story, share your vision, ask for feedback, and just keep your head to the grindstone. But also learn how to decipher from what people are giving you as honest and factual information versus fluff, because there are obviously plenty of people out there that want to fluff numbers and talk about there's tons of concepts out there that have sold hundreds of units, but what's important is how many have they sold and have they opened. And that's one of the things that I always pride myself in, is that I open 100% of the franchise units we sell. And if we do award units to someone that are unable to open them or unable to secure the funding in the end, we resell those units for them, and we do that in a short period of time.
In Springboard, I know hopefully most everyone sat through the pods yesterday with the mentors, and after this will be another mentoring session with the pods. It's such important because people in franchising are so giving, and people like you who are taking the time now, and we've been fortunate, and Lane and I, that's why we do this for people. We're trying to give back because there's so many wonderful people in the franchising world, and people want to give back because, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to sell someone a franchise. And the more successful your franchisees are, the better it is for franchising. We go through a lot of these legal scenarios and everything going through the government. It's really important. And, we're very, very fortunate to work with people, and people like you who are giving back. I know one of your big passions is flying. And to me, it almost correlates to franchising because you have to follow a system. So tell us a little bit about how you got into flying and how you really correlated to the franchising model.
Yeah, so it's no secret that my businesses have shot up like a rocket ship. And, one thing I'll add before I talk about flying is I remember being at those early Springboards and, talking to people that had 50, 100, 150 units. And I'm like, man, if I could just get to 100, I'd be happy. And, and then there's many that still today are in the industry that I see that I've blown right past. So as you attend the events and you get involved in the industry, don't ever feel like you can't exceed what others are already doing, because I'm living proof that over the course of the last 6 to 7 years, I've been able to take off like a rocket ship and figure out businesses, and not just one business, multiple businesses, and many more into the future. So flying for me began in May of 2019. I was on a business trip and I had to go to 4 different cities in 3 days, and every flight was delayed. And I came home Saturday afternoon and my wife said, man, your travel just seems to be getting really miserable. And it's not uncommon that I would spend 26 weeks a year in a hotel. I'm always on a plane, just like you, Brad, and many of the other people that were around. And I just got really frustrated. I said to my wife, I'm like, I'm buying a plane on Monday. And she said, you're out of your mind. You're not buying a plane. You've never flown a plane. You're not going to fly a plane. And I went into the office Monday morning and I bought a plane. And I came home that night, and at dinner, she said, how was your day? I said, it was great. I bought a plane today. And she goes, you are out of your mind. So now I had to learn how to fly it. And I work a lot of hours. still moving. So I couldn't start flying until early August of 19. And what I did is in 31 days, I completed my private pilot's license, took my plane with a commercial instructor out of Princeton, New Jersey, where my plane was based. We flew out to California. We flew for 15 days straight, passed my FAA pilot's exam. And it was a Tuesday afternoon, about 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I jumped in a plane and went right up and over the Rockies and flew back home. And my wife begged me to stay. But for me, I look back and I honestly can't believe how I would have ever accomplished what I've done just in the last year since I acquired that pilot's license, just over a year ago, if I didn't have the freedom to just go and jump in my plane. Just yesterday, I was able to jump in my plane, fly down to Charlotte, have a dinner meeting, and I was back up in the office early the next day. So, it's really given me the ability to streamline my business and make it so much more efficient. And it's no different than what we look at in our businesses, ways to become more efficient. And many would say, wow, that's got to be expensive. And truthfully, it's something that we don't even get concerned over the cost, because you can't put a time value. First off, you can't put a value to your time. It's one thing we can never get back. But more importantly, the amount of additional business that you can do when you're not losing all that time in commercial airports.
And the reason why I brought this up is for two reasons. That, 7, 8 years ago, you were sitting here with no franchises and the financial goal of owning your own airplane, but also the idea of following a system. You set a goal, and just like franchisees do, franchisors in a franchise system have to put that system for their franchisees to follow. And I think it's a direct correlation, the idea of flying and franchising. I know we're running out of time now. Josh, I cannot tell you how proud we are that you were able, what you did with Monster Tree. We're excited to see where you're taking your 2 new concepts. We really appreciate you really telling everyone here. And thanks again for your time. And I know how important it is for you to really get back to the franchising model. And Lane and I can't be more proud and excited about you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on and investing so much of my time into the program.